Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Monza as the cars taking... Welcome to Monza, the cars taking to the track for the qualifying session for the 12th round of the 2017 Euro Formula Open season. You join myself, Ben Evans, on a sultry morning here, the Monza circuit. Fortunately, the forecast rain would appear to have stayed away, although a little bit of precipitation overnight, and a full field of 21 cars taking to the track. Well, yesterday's race was perhaps inevitably claimed in dominant fashion by Harrison Scott. Scott claiming yet another victory on what seems like an unassailable march towards the championship. It was his 9th win of the year, and it's one that puts him certainly with one hand on the title heading into today's race. Yesterday's runner-up was the man who's currently second in the championship, Nikita Troitsky, still looking for that elusive first victory of the season. But as long as he keeps finishing second to Scott, he's building his own championship position and also continuing to grow his lead in the rookie championship. And third place went to Yanni Fitcher, the German driver who switched the RP Motorsport team this weekend, immediately having a very good result off the back of it. As ever though, this is Monza. There was plenty of action to be seen throughout the field, lots of very close wheel-to-wheel dicing. Generally speaking, but for one or two late bumps, everything was kept pretty clean. The cars on their outlaps now, and yesterday we saw quite an unusual qualifying session in the times that were set in the first half of the session for some of the drivers held all the way through to the end of qualifying, as in the last 10 minutes or so everybody was looking for the right toe from one another, looking for track position, and as a result they didn't actually get that many cracks at the whip in terms of being able to set a competitive time. But the teams will have gone back over the data from yesterday, looked back at the onboards on the like, and will therefore be fully focused on the job ahead. They've got 30 minutes to play with as we watch Eliseo Martinez, who had a very solid drive yesterday for the Teo Marti Motorsport team, heading in to the Rettifilio. He is trailed by Petru Florescu. Florescu tangled very early on with Lodovico Laurini. Not having the easiest of seasons, but he will be looking to put together a good qualifying session and hope that that is going to transfer into a solid race result. They come through the Curve Grande, then into the braking zone for the Variante della Roggia. As they flick through that chicane and then on to the brace of Lesmo. Turns out really at the furthest extremity from the pits here in Monza. Swing through the first Lesmo. Be careful not to go over the AstroTurf too much now of Lesmo 2 before the long blast back towards the Ascari chicane. There you see three Carlin cars, Guilherme Samaya, Amaya Weidenheithen and Devlin De Francesco, all running in a train. They are being trailed by one of the three Drevex entries. That is Christian Hahn, and Eliseo Martinez just behind them. So already starting to wind up for a lap here. Devlin De Francesco, he's got Guilherme Samaya behind him. De Francesco qualified in 6th place, didn't get the greatest start, and then as they all filed through the Rettifilio for the first time, lost a fair amount of ground, and that, as a result, really cost him in terms of the final equation, eventually netting 6 points for 7th place for his troubles. And that's enough just about to consolidate 4th place in the championship, although he's now only 2 points clear of Yanni Fitcher. You can see they're all really backing themselves up. This is exactly what we were talking about, all looking for that track position. Nobody wants to be the first car in the train to give away the toe. Christian Hahn decides enough is enough, so he accelerates underway. Or does he? No. Leaves it to De Francesco to turn into the Parabolica. And because of the high-speed nature of this Monza circuit, it's the speed down the straights that is absolutely critical. If you can get in the toe behind your rival, let the car in front of you punch the hole through the air, and then if you can ride in the slipstream, it's going to give you an extra couple of kilometres per hour by the time you get to the end of the straight, and in turn that will buy you a couple of hundredths of a second on the lap time. The other thing to note, of course, is that because of that, the cars are running ultra low downforce settings. You can see the front and rear wings are completely flat, and that means the cars are a little bit of a handful through some of the turns as well. Guillaume Samaya pounds through Curva Grande. Accelerates on towards Pariente de la Rogia. He's got Christian Hahn behind him as Samaya runs straight on. Just outbreaks himself, takes to the escape chute. Should rejoin without any drama. Not unsurprisingly, based on what we just saw, all team managers have been summoned with an immediate effect to race control. And I don't think those watching the pictures of race control will have been overly impressed in seeing the entire field backing itself up. See, the same thing occurs again as Christian Hahn, with Amir Weidenathan in tow, swoops into Ascari Daniel Pranenko, just running ahead of Petru Florescu as he negotiates Ascari. Christian Hahn accelerating on towards the Parabolica. You can see Amir Weidenathan, that benefit in the tow. And Christian Hahn doesn't want to give him a free tow because they're not teammates. So Weidenathan swoops into the Parabolica. Others backing right out of their laps as well. There is the championship leader, Harrison Scott, just behind Mateusz Jorio. That's the man who's trying to chase him in the championship, Nikita Troitsky. One of the three Drivex entries. Troitsky has got a good tow from Petru Florescu, so they all flash through. And it is Harrison Scott, perhaps inevitably, who sets the fastest time thus far, a 1 minute 46.8. Nikita Troitsky then second, with Amir Weidenathan third. Vico Laurini currently fourth from Alex Karkozik, Daniel Pranenko and Cameron Das. Scott just seesaws at the wheel. Florescu rejoins, and he may be taking a trip through the escape route. Sound of it through the Curva Grande. Scott looking to try and overhaul Mateusz Jorio. Brazilian Jorio had a fairly torrid time of it yesterday. He went through the gravel on the first lap, coming out the second lap. Oh, and a bit of a wobble there for Harrison Scott. So we talk about Mateusz Jorio going through the gravel. Harrison Scott doing the same, except that Jorio on lap 1 yesterday did it fairly comprehensively. Repeated the trick about 3 laps later. That, unfortunately for him, left him somewhere adrift. Oh, and running very wide there, Lodovico Laurini. Skitters back onto the track in the path of teammate Alex Karkozik. You can see that on these slightly colder Michelin tyres, the low downforce setup, they are, particularly through the second Lesmo, they're running too close to the car in front. The turbulent air is causing the car to wash out and understeer, and that's why we've seen plenty of drivers running wide through there all weekend. Here's Nikita Troitsky. He's had a little bit of the benefit of the tow from Guillaume Samaya. Troitsky heads around the Parabolica. This has every possibility of being a good lap here for Nikita Troitsky as he accelerates through, breaks the timing beam, he goes top. A 1 minute 45.3 for the Russian. Very impressive, managing the tow beautifully. Harrison Scott also improves, he remains in second on the 146.4. Then Devon De Francesco's third. Only briefly, Pedro Cardoso moves up into third. De Francesco slips to fourth. Cameron Das, then the American, in his second race weekend in the championship, with the Campos team currently in fifth. Somebody else has had a little bit of a moment. Into the Variante de la Rogia, you can see the smoke clearing. It was Christian Hahn who outbrakes himself, went straight on, looking for a gap on the gap in the traffic to rejoin. Now it's Weidenathan who has got Jose Martinez tucked up right behind him. It's Troitsky trying to chase down to Cameron Das. It's Harrison Scott. Just wonder if Christian Hahn may peel into the pits at the end of this lap. Surprised, given that amount of smoke, he's not maybe flat spotted the Michelins. All the drivers, of course, in the identical Dallara F312 chassis. They've all got the identical engine as well, and various other identical components supplied by the championship promoters GT Sport. It means that this all comes down to the nuances in setup and just what the drivers can extract. As we just just over the 1/3 point of the session, and now the pace begins to wind up. Oh, Nikita Troitsky runs a little bit wide through the parabolica. He has got Harrison Scott, or he had Harrison Scott lurking behind him. Scott peels into the pits. Cameron Das pulls out of the toe, moves to the inside of Daniel Pranenko. Should remind you, this is qualifying, it's not a race. Cameron Das looks for a gap in the traffic to sneak in. He does. He follows in behind Elizo Martinez. As Pedro Cardoso goes second now, 1:46.3 for Cardoso. Third now is Yanni Fitcher. Harrison Scott slips to fourth. Lodovico Laurini is fifth. Taron Reddy is sixth. Guilherme Samaya seventh. Devlin De Francesco in eighth. Daniel Liu in ninth. His debut weekend in the series, running with the BVM squad. And Thiago Vivacqua completes the top 10. That is all going to change. Now they've done 3 or 4 laps now. What we'll anticipate is they'll all pile into the pits fairly shortly, bolt on a new set of Michelin tyres, and then a repeat probably of the early stage of the session as they re-emerge post pit stops. For now though, under the banking for Amir Weidenheithen. Das following behind Elizo Martinez. Now looking at time screen for Cameron Das, it's not really helped him particularly on this lap. The driver who is benefiting from all this though is Nikita Troitsky, who you see at the very back of the train, because he has got something like a quadruple toe working in his favour, and as long as nobody in front of him backs off suddenly, Troitsky might be minded to finish this lap as Samaya looks to the inside of Daniel Pranenko. Troitsky closes up onto both of them. Not sure whether or not he had to back out for the throttle. He's going to go through and complete the lap anyway, Nikita Troitsky. Accelerates through and doesn't quite improve. Way a couple of tenths of a second through the final sector there, the Russian. Lodovico Laurini though does improve. He goes second. Petru Fresco up to third. Daniel Liu up into 9th position. Taron Reddy now goes third. You see that next gaggle of cars. There is Pedro Cardoso running behind Devlin De Francesco. And Cardoso had a frustrating session yesterday, the Brazilian, when he picked up some damage to the rear left corner, forced him out of the session early on. He's now currently 5th overall. Some cars in the pits, but not too many of them. There's Florescu, having just set the 4th fastest time. Runs straight on, Variante della Roggia. Rejoins. Some cars past him. Cardoso not getting masses of benefit running behind Devlin De Francesco so far on this lap. Comes out to the second Lesmo. De Francesco says, no way am I giving you a turn anymore. Moves across to one side. Reddy also pounds past. Go down the field, Alex Karkozic, currently only in 20th, he qualified in the top 5 yesterday. And then Ben Hingley, likewise, another expected front runner, currently in 21st place. Suggests that Hingley possibly is not getting the benefit of a toe. Now here is Lodovico Laurini, who's really impressive in qualifying yesterday, one of his best of the season. Was very unlucky to be caught up in a moment from Petru Florescu early on in the race. Dinked his suspension. Turn, Florescu was caught out by others, so the 2 drivers that retired from that weren't really the ones culpable. And Laurini, arguably the most innocent of all of them, but now Italian second in the session as we approach the midway point. The bulk of the field now into the pits. Those that have stayed out have done so with good reason. Amir Weidenheithen's just moved up to 6th, 1:46.2. We've also seen an improved time for Jan-Leon Schlom. He goes 11th. There is Schlom, returning to the Fortec team. His first appearance in the championship since we saw him in Estoril right at the start of the year. And you see brand new tyres going on to Guilherme Samaya's car. They all run, of course, on the control compound Michelin tyre. offers absolutely brilliant performance for them, particularly in qualifying if they manage to warm it up in the right way. It's the midpoint of the session. The pits are abuzz. It would certainly appear as if the overwhelming majority of the field have got brand new Michelin rubber to get them through the second half of the session. There is Simo Laaksonen, who finished 4th yesterday. Race long scrap with Yanni Fitcher for that final podium spot. Spotsky reattaches his steering wheel. A slight adjustment of the mirror. And now the entire field in the pits, making the necessary adjustments. But there's a couple of drivers who need to find something in the second half of the session. Ben Hingeley and Alex Karkozik, probably the most prominent of them. As Schlom is rolled into position. Fortec mechanics will just check the tyre pressures. So every lap that you run, there is always something to learn. You talk to the drivers and they'll say that even an in-lap isn't wasted, because you can always try a different line somewhere, or just attempt a slightly different approach, maybe find a couple of hundredths here or there. Taryn ready. It's a slight debrief, talking to his driver coach. So the classification then is Nikita Troitsky, currently top of the times, from Ludovico Laurini 2nd, Tarun Reddy 3rd, Petru Fresco in 4th, Pedro Cardoso's 5th, Amaya Weidenathan 6th, Yanni Fitcher 7th, Devlin De Francesco in 8th, Harrison Scott, championship leader 9th, Daniel Liu in 10th, Jan Schlom 11th, from Guillaume Samaya 12th, and Simo Laaksonen in 13th, Thiago Vivacqua's 14th, Matthias Yorio down in 15th, 16th place for Christian Hahn, 17th for Cameron Das, 18th for Eliseo Martinez, 19th for Daniel Pranenko, 20th for Alex Karkozik, and 21st for Ben Hingeley. Christian Hahn also receiving a few words of advice and encouragement. Well, we've got a couple of cars fired up and burbling down the pit lane. They've got just under 12 minutes to go, as Guillaume Samaya is the first out of the pits to lead the charge. So here comes the Brazilian, who's mainly been racing in the BRDC Formula 3 Championship this year. Didn't have the easiest time in his debut at Silverstone. He was also forced into retirement yesterday. The benefit of a clear track with which to warm his tyres. Daniel Pranenko, EVM team, always go well here at Monza. Pranenko and Daniel Liu were in the thick of the action yesterday. Liu was unlucky to be caught out in the last lap entanglement with Pedro Cardoso at the Parabolica, where the Brazilian was just pushing a little bit too hard on the brakes, tagged Daniel Liu into a spin. Is Eliseo Martinez, poised and ready to go. It's about to be released onto the track, with the exception of Guillaume Samaya. They're all still in the pits. Waiting for the signal to get up to speed. Devlin De Francesco heads out. There you see Harrison Scott running down the pit lane, and now they're all going for it. Looking for that all-important track position. As the Monza pit lane suddenly empties itself. This is going to be very, very interesting and entertaining, I'd imagine, over the next 10 minutes or so. They've got to get the track position. They've got to get the toe from the right car. So they've got to be careful. They're not allowed to warm their tyres explicitly out on the track. Scott has got Ben Hingeley right behind him. See all the rubber that's been laid down over the weekend on the curbs through the Rettifilio. Quartet of Campos runners pick their way through. Picture, he's got Petru Florescu just behind him. Schlom as well has emerged from the pits, as has Nikita Troitsky, Christian Hahn and Pedro Cardoso. So with the exception of Terry and Reddy, they're all out on track. Surprisingly, the track is therefore very, very busy. Take a lap or so to warm up the Michelin tyre, and then they'll start to go for it. They've only got 9 minutes left, and already again Harrison Scott backing right out of the pace, and is not, I'd imagine, what race direction want to see. Vico Laurini likewise doing the same. I just wonder if we're going to start to see team tactics coming to the fore a little bit more than we did yesterday. So there's lots of multi-car squads in this championship, and if they can get the space to run together, they could potentially be able to offer a little bit of assistance to each other. Scott heels in to Ascari. He's got the entire field behind him. They've got to be very careful not to zigzag into each other, as they'll then come out of Ascari, I'd imagine, begin to form up again as they head towards the Parabolica. There's Harrison Scott all on his own. He's got nobody to play with, looks in his mirrors, sees the rest of the field, in some instances slowing to pretty much a walking pace. Headed by Lodovico Laurini. Waiting for the right moment to go. There's Ben Hingley as well. Now they begin to apply the throttle. So Devlin De Francesco has been summoned into the pit lane for a penalty for warming his tyres. Also a warning flag as well for Amaya Weidenheithen. So for the Carlin drivers, getting a little bit of trouble. Harrison Scott, meanwhile, in and out of the pits, looking to get a slightly better run through the traffic. And now they're underway. Let's see if we see any blue sectors starting to form, which means that the drivers are on the cusp of an improvement. They all turn in to throw into De La Roggia. Christian Hahn squeezed a little bit by Matteo Siorio. And then Guilherme Smyer also caught up in that. Yanni Ficci then backs right out of the pace. So does Nikita Troitsky, and they all slow themselves down again. We've got more penalties now for Simo Laaksonen, Thiago Vivacqua and Lodovico Laurini have all been black flagged. So Vivacqua, Laurini and Laaksonen all black flagged for impeding normal circulation. So essentially we saw them slowing down to walking pace. So we've now got 4 cars that have got to make a stop at the penalty area in the remaining 6 minutes or thereabouts of this session. That's potentially going to give us a slightly different complexion to the grid once more. Nobody on this occasion looking like they're going to improve. They're going to have time at the end of this lap, probably for 3 more. Provided they don't slow themselves down once more. The RP Motorsport team all in conference on the pit wall. It's Laurini, who's one of their drivers, who are going to need to summon in. Meanwhile, Alex Karkozic trying to find a way around Eliseo Martinez. Cameron Dass, I believe it was, who was right in front of them as they head through the Parabolica. Right into, on a quick lap, De Francesco into the penalty area. Currently 8th in the times. This is a very different session to the ones that we normally see in the Euro Formula Open, where typically the first half of the session is all about honing technique, piecing the sectors together. Then we see all the quick times coming in the second half of the session. Here at Monza, it's a very different challenge, very different approach. Laurini and Vivacqua have also come in for their penalties. Di Francesco now released back on his way. Enrico Laurini. Wait to be released. Teammate Karkozic continues to run right behind Eliseo Martinez. Quite close up to him heading into the second Lesmo. That's where there's the risk of the understeer. A trip through the gravel. Doesn't happen on this occasion. We've got another car that has been summoned for a penalty. That is Jenny Fitcher, also the RP Motorsport squad. As Karkozic looks to draw alongside and goes past Pedro Cardoso. We're now likely to see some improved times here. Emea Weidenheithen on a good lap. So is Petru Florescu. Pedro Cardoso wasn't going too badly through middle sector. Harrison Scott, somewhat inevitably, he has just set the fastest middle sector of the session altogether. Had a pretty good first sector as well. So he is going to jump right up the times at the end of this lap. As the field all flashed through. Emea Weidenheithen goes second with a 1 minute 45.9. Here is Harrison Scott through the Parabolica. Will it be another pole position for Scott, as has been so often the case this year? He takes the shortest route to the start and finish line. Across line he comes. And in fact, through the final sector, he was off the pace a little bit, so he remains in 11th. So the order is Troitsky, Weidenheithen, Laurini, Terran Reddy 4th, Jan Schlom in 5th, Ben Hinchley up to 6th, Pedro Cardoso 7th, Petru Florescu in 8th, Jenny Fitcher 9th in the pits, Devlin Di Francesco 10th, Harrison Scott 11th. Emea Weidenheithen is possibly on a good lap. He has just done personal best through sector 1, as has Ben Hinchley, who we just caught a glimpse of there into Variante de la Roggia. Harrison Scott, though, has done the fastest first sector of anybody in the session. So he closes up onto the tail of Christian Hahn, heading towards the Lesmos. Uses a fair amount of curb. Fortunately not caught out on the slippery AstroTurf. Weidenheithen not so quick through the middle sector, so his lap has possibly gone. Ben Hinchley, though, is on the cusp of improvement. There you see Hinchley right behind Daniel Pranenko. Pranenko currently down in 21st place. As Harrison Scott, again, a purple sector through the middle sector. So Harrison Scott on the cusp of another pole position, another championship point. It's going to make his championship charge just that little bit easier as he jinks around Christian Hahn into the Parabolica. As Alex Karkozic goes top, a 1 minute 45.3 for Karkozic. Here comes Harrison Scott, Karkozic's teammate for RP Motorsport. And Scott goes quickest by a huge margin, a 1 minute 43.9 for Harrison Scott, 1.3 seconds up on the rest of the field. And he's done it again in the last moments of the session. He posts a time that feels as if it is going to be somewhat unassailable for many of his rivals. He found the right piece of track. He was able to be clear through the technical turns, got a little bit of a benefit of a tow elsewhere. So now, what can the others do? Well, Alex Karkozic, there he is, has just set the fastest first sector of the session, 34.5. He's got a couple of cars in front of him, Cameron Das and Guilherme Samaya, as Karkozic heads out the second Lesmo. Doesn't want to be delayed through Ascari here by those in front of him. Others also improving. Eliseo Martinez has gone 4th. Thiago Vivacqua up into 6th. This group of cars, they may get time for one more lap at the end of this one. And Karkozic definitely on a good lap here. The field all accelerating towards the Parabolica. Cameron Das backs out of his lap, who was in 13th place. Karkozic turns in to the Parabolica now. He's already second in the session for Karkozic. No, he's not. He's third because Nikita Troitsky's just gone second. Weidenheithen now pips Troitsky. Here comes Karkozic over the line just as the checkered flag goes out. And Karkozic doesn't improve, and he is furious. He slips to 4th, so it's Scott, Weidenheithen, Troitsky. Karkozik, well, he's going to continue. Timing screen suggests that he took the checkered flag. So the car he's pursuing, Guillaume Samaya. Nikita Troitsky and Amir Weidenheithen could still squeak another lap out of this one, as Florescu runs a little bit wide through the Variante de la Roggia. Jinks back onto the track. Daniel Liu goes 6th with his final lap of the session. So the order is Scott, Weidenheithen, Troitsky, Karkozik, Florescu, Liu, Cardoso. That changes. Simo Laaksonen goes 3rd. 1 minute 45.2 for Simo Laaksonen. Still got a couple of cars to come through and take the checkered flag. Nikita Troitsky is one of them. Troitsky, though, is on his own. You can see him pounding down towards the Parabolica, but he did do his best middle sector of the session. There is Amir Weidenheithen, who is currently poised to line up alongside Harrison Scott on the front row of the grid. It's Weidenheithen right out to the periphery of the circuit, accelerates through, takes the checkered flag. Troitsky improves his time, not his position. Weidenheithen improves neither. The last gaggle of cars all flash across the line. Thrilling session then, but it has finished much as it has done all the way through the season, with Harrison Scott taking pole position. Amir Weidenheithen then alongside him on the front row of the grid. 3rd for Simo Laaksonen, in 4th Nikita Troitsky. 5th to Alex Karkozik, ahead of Thiago Vivacqua. Petru Florescu and Daniel Liu on the 4th row of the grid from Pedro Cardoso and Jenny Fitcher. Then second half of the field, Elizondo Martinez from Ben Hingley in 12th. Christian Hahn 13th, head of Cameron Das. Jan Schlom 15th. Matthias Iorio 16th, head of Lodovico Laurini. Tarun Reddy, Guillaume Samaya. Devlin De Francesco down in 20th, with Daniel Pranenko completing the field. So a somewhat jumbled grid for the 12th race of the season. We should be in for an absolute thriller later on this afternoon. So here's a look then at that final classification. Harrison Scott pole position by 1.2 seconds over Amir Weidenheithen. Then Simo Laaksonen and Nikita Troitsky, very competitive second row of the grid. Alex Karkozik will feel that he's got the pace certainly to challenge for a podium later on, ahead of Thiago Vivacqua. Petru Florescu and Daniel Liu both showing very strongly, ahead of Pedro Cardoso. And then Yanni Fitcher, who may well be disappointed with that 10th place. Fitcher, one of several drivers to pick up a penalty in the session. As Elizondo Martinez in 11th. Ben Hingley should progress from 13th. And certainly you could say the same as well for Tarun Reddy and Devlin De Francesco down on the 10th row of the grid. But two very quick drivers. And Daniel Pranenko then rounds out the field. We will be racing at about 1:05 Central European time today. So do make sure you join us for all the action. Until then, from Ben Evans in Monza, it's goodbye.